Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you have joined us for the AI and Technology Conference. The next presentation of the day is from Prospect Markets, formerly known as Deep Market. Please note you may submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for a one-on-one meeting by clicking Book a Meeting. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Johnny Chen, Founder and Chief Executive Officer of Prospect Markets, which trades on the OTCID market under the symbol MKTSF and on the TSXV under the symbol MKT. Welcome, Johnny.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate OTC Markets for hosting me today. I'm excited to tell the story. We've gone through a lot of change over the last couple months. Some of you guys might see that where our name is listed as Deep Market. That was the former company that we've vended into. And so as of February 23rd, our official name will be Prospect Prediction Markets, Inc. And we also have plans to uplist to the OTC QB market as well. So I'll get started. As Greg mentioned, my name is Johnny Chen. I'm an engineer by trade and have over 10 years of experience on Bay Street and Wall Street. I've worked at a handful of different investment banks, including BMO Capital Markets, Stifel, and Raymond James. Prior to my involvement on Bay Street and Wall Street, I was an engineer, studied and received my professional engineering designation. So for those of you who don't know who we are, our vision is really to create a community for fans to engage more deeply with sports, athletes, and events they care about most on a secure and regulated platform. We empower athletes by providing access to transparent, dynamic, and customizable prediction markets that fosters engagement with their fans. So just to give you guys a brief overview, our company is positioned at the intersection of sports, financial markets, and trading. We're building a sports-focused peer-to-peer prediction markets that's designed to drive real-time participation, fan engagement, and monetization. Our scalable platform architecture is built for global expansion, and we're fortunate enough that we sit at the intersection of some strong regulatory tailwinds that I'll speak to in the following slide. Some of our integration and infrastructure partners include Google Cloud, Amazon Web Services, Avalanche, Sports Data IO, IntelliStake, ASAPI, and Triton. So for those of you who haven't been following the prediction markets, it's one of the fastest growing industries today. If you were to look at spot trading volumes in August, they were averaging about $2 billion a day or a month. Fast forward to January this year, they're trending at close to 30 billion per month. So essentially a 15x increase. And what's really driving the growth in prediction markets is the regulatory framework. In August, the CFTC and the SEC came out with regulatory guidance on prediction markets that classified them as derivative contracts, essentially binary options. And that opened the door to a whole host of financial players that have entered the industry. On the back of the changes in regulations, peer competitors like Polymarket, for example, raised money from Donald Trump Jr. They've also received a large investment from ICE, the operator and owner of the New York Stock Exchange, and have since raised additional rounds of capital, with their latest round valued at $15 billion in December. Now, if you look at some of the reference research that we point to, there's a good report by EK Gaming that talks about spot trading volumes for prediction markets hitting 1 trillion by 2030. Prediction markets have been all over the mainstream media for the last couple of months. We've seen CNBC regularly point to them. We've seen other media outlets like CNN, etc. There's also been a large swath of established players that have spoken about it. So, for example, Ken Griffin, the CEO of Citadel, has publicly stated that Citadel is looking at entering the prediction market business. We got Michael Selig, the chairman of the CFTC, coming out with guidance on prediction market regulations, which has really jump-started the industry. We've got Vlad Tanev, the CEO of Robinhood, who in his most recent earnings quarter spoke about how prediction markets were their fastest growing business in the history of Robinhood. And finally, David Solomon, the CEO of Goldman Sachs, was on his recent earnings call speaking about how Goldman Sachs was looking at opportunities within the prediction market sector. This is only a small sliver of some of the players that have entered the space. In addition to these guys, you've seen a lot of the quant and market makers enter the space, including Susquehanna, Jump Trading, and Jane Street. Then in addition to that, you've had others like Coinbase and Interactive Brokers looking at and launching prediction markets as well. So the question is, what are prediction markets and why are they better? If you look at prediction markets and you compare them against sportsbooks, there's a few key differences to note. So number one, prediction markets operate as peer-to-peer trading, peer-to-peer exchanges, whereas sportsbooks are you bet against the house. For prediction markets, they're dynamic and they're real-time traded, whereas in sportsbooks, they're often fixed wagers with limited cash out ability. For prediction markets, the prices or the odds are driven by the expectations of the crowd or fund flows, whereas in a sportsbooks, odds are set by the bookmaker. In a prediction market, they're open and transparent, whereas for sportsbooks, they're centralized and tend to be opaque. And finally, in terms of an engagement standpoint, prediction markets are continuous before, during, and after certain events, whereas in sportsbooks, they're primarily just within the pregame and with limited ability during the game. So if you take a look at the competitive landscape, we've spoke about a few players that are already involved. The two largest prediction markets that you know today are Polymarket and Kalshi. In addition, there are really three groups of competitors within the competitive landscape. So you've got your traditional sports betting players, you've got your traditional financial players, and you have your traditional crypto players. So within the traditional finance space, you've got guys like Robinhood, ICE, or Internet Continental Exchange, and you've got the CME Group and the CBOE. Within sports, you've got established players like DraftKings who have launched prediction markets. And then within crypto, you have players like Crypto.com who also offer prediction markets in the US. So from our standpoint, we see several opportunities to innovate within the prediction market space. The first one is hyper-verticalization. So unlike a lot of our competitors like Kalshi, Polymarket, and others who are offering event contracts across a variety of different categories, we want to specialize in sports, and there's a reason for that. The main reason is more than 70% of all spot trading volumes in prediction markets are actually sports related. And so it makes sense to focus on the largest category within prediction markets. In addition to this, if you look at the trading experiences built around Polymarket and Kalshi, they're very basic in that they really only have a price chart and a buy-sell button. What we really want to do is we want to provide more context around the trade. So think of things like real-time data feeds, providing real-time odds, and other types of information like relevant news, injuries, etc. Secondly, Polymarket and Kalshi use a consensus-based market resolution algorithm. We actually developed our own proprietary algorithmic market resolution that automates the market resolution of prediction markets. And we actually leverage audited third-party data sources, which means there's no manual intervention, no disputes, fast and reliable outcomes for market resolution. And finally, we've got a new product that we've been developing called Prospect Arenas, which enables us to launch prediction markets across a variety of different types of event contracts. One of the ones that we've had really early interest on is player-based or athlete-based event contracts. So think of this like, who's going to have a better game, Steph Curry or LeBron James, or who's going to have a better World Cup, Ronaldo versus Messi. We as sports fans have realized very early on that players want to not only place event bets on certain games, but they also want to connect with their favorite athletes as well. So building on the second screen experience, this is what we really talk about when we say building context around the trade. And so we think it's important to add a lot of information to inform traders, like the current live scores, real-time odds, professional analytics, news headlines, historical information, market intelligence, price charts, sentiment indicators, injury updates, and community insights. And what we really want to do is prevent essentially a companion for live sports viewing that enables fans the ability to be a one-stop shop and see all the information all at once. Think of this almost like a Bloomberg terminal for sports. An important part of a prediction market platform is the market making and liquidity of the platform. And so we've partnered with a company called ISAPI, where we'll be looking to develop some of our own prediction models. So think of things like leveraging all types of third-party data and proprietary data to improve pricing, provide liquidity, and scale our markets. So just to give a little bit of background on the team, we've got myself, Johnny Chen. I'm the founder and CEO of the company. I've got over a decade of experience in institutional equity sales and trading. I've held several senior roles at banks, including BMO Capital Markets, Stifel, and Raymond James. My co-founder, Trevor Broad, has over 15 years of experience in the industry, building fintech companies and in emerging industries, emerging sectors such as AI and blockchain. He led engineering at a company called Mogo, where he was a lead systems architect. Mogo, for those of you who don't know, was the first crypto wallet in Canada, backed by a large financial institution. And he's also spent time at Apollo Insurance building and scaling their platform as well. Steve Andrews, the CFO, he's got over 25 years of experience across a number of public and private companies as well. He's an accountant by trade and has experience in capital markets, corporate finance, M&A, regulatory, and financial reporting. We built a great team of advisors and board members. So I'll go through a couple of them. Number one, Sasha Bahari, he heads up our capital markets team. He's got over 20 years of experience in the capital markets. His last role was head of equity sales and trading at Macquarie in Hong Kong. Edward Zhu is our head of finance. He's been a previous CFO at a number of companies, as well as he's got experience in the VC space. James Zan is one of our co-founders and is the founder of and CEO of Ranger AI. They just closed their seed financing. He's founded several other AI companies and leads our product development and engineering team. We've got Kevin Gopal. He's an advisor to the company. He's a key architect of the BMO global ETF business, where he was recruited from Barclays iShares over 14 years ago and built that business to over 100 billion in AUM. He's also held other senior roles at a number of other large financial institutions. Lanre Okanuga, he leads our legal and regulatory vertical. He's held senior roles at KPMG and PwC, where he was a partner. He's a member of the New York State Bar and has also founded a peer-to-peer lending platform on the blockchain. And finally, our newest board member is Aydin Kilic. He's the current CEO of Hive Digital. They're a TSX and NASDAQ listed company. They're one of the largest crypto miners in the world, operating around 3% of the Bitcoin network. He also led the initiative of building out their high performance computing division and is a key contributor to the team as well. So just to go through the capital structure, there's total 61 million shares outstanding, just over 3.5 million warrants, and 2 million options for total shares of about 67 million outstanding today. And with that, I just wanted to share our contact information for anyone who's interested in getting in touch with us. Please feel free to reach out to myself or Sasha Bahari. Our emails are on the slide. Now with that, I will turn it over to the Q&A. I've got quite a few questions here that have come in, so I'll work through this one by one. So the first question is regarding our platform being built on Avalanche and focused on free-to-play sports predictions. What user behaviors and engagement stats are you seeing that validate the approach versus traditional sports books? So thank you for that question. I want to emphasize that when we had first launched, we had launched as a free-to-play. Our long-term goal is to operate with stable coins and fiat dollars similar to a Polymarket or Kalshi. In terms of our timeline for that, we're working on receiving a derivatives license in the US. And so, when we're able to do that, we'll launch in the US. The second question I had here, how does Prospect change the way typical fans engage with the live game on a Sunday compared to today? So it's interesting. If you take a step back, gaming in general drives fan engagement. And if you look at, I'd encourage some of the listeners on this call to pull up the interview between Dana White and Shane Copeland from Polymarket. So after they signed their deal, Dana White said something that was quite profound. He said, look, the UFC is popular today and successful because they're on the leading edge of all these new technologies, whether it's gaming, prediction markets, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, streaming. And I think that's a big signal to other emerging teams and leagues out there that this is going to be an important piece of future fan engagement. And if you want to be relevant today, as a team or a league or a sport, you have to adopt these new technologies. And for us, prediction markets are the logical choice going forward. Next question. Your platform surfaces scores, odds, analytics, sentiment, and during internet is one place. What early feedback are you seeing from power users, semi-pro traders? Great question. So, we've all been in that scenario where we've gone between different screens, Googling different platforms and trying to get information as time is available. we signed a deal with Sports Data IO, our data platform that provides us a lot of these scores and statistics and other relevant information. And so what we really want to do is, again, provide context around the trade. And feedback so far has been great. I think people are looking for that one-stop shop experience. And as we start to scale that, we'll share more. Next question, how do you plan to reward and retain your best users through status tiers, revenue share, style rewards, or ownership-like mechanics that align them with the platform's long-term success? Great question. So, in traditional, we haven't rolled out any type of loyalty program or any type of reward-based program yet. We are thinking about these incentive structures in the future. I think these are important pieces to cultivate a strong and active community. And, we really do value early adopters and high performing and highly engaged user bases. So stay tuned on that. We'll have more, but we haven't launched anything today. Sorry. Keep going through questions here. As you transition into the prospect narrative on TSXV/OTC, what are the main KPIs you want public markets to re-rate on versus where legacy investors may still be focused today? So long term, if I were to zoom out and look at any prediction market, really there's 3 KPIs that you want to focus on. Number one, actually I'd argue 4. So number one, the number of users or unique traders. Number 2, the spot trading volumes. Number 3, the number of transactions. And number 4 would be revenue. We're still very early days across the board. So if you look at, for example, Polymarket today, you can actually go and see the number of unique traders that are on Polymarket. Last time I checked, it was around 200,000. Now that number might be a bit stale, but it's a very good way to compare and look at, say DraftKings, for example, which has over 14 million users, right? And so when we look at the value ascribed to our company relative to, say, a Polymarket, it doesn't take long for us to grow that user base and start to get comped and re-rated relative to some of the larger players out there. You've assembled a board and advisor bench with deep capital markets, and digital assets. How is that translating to the concrete opportunities? Great question. So there's if we were to go back and look at our team, we really identified, essentially 4 key verticals that we wanted to address that would drive the long-term success of the business, right? And so the first one was capital markets and product structuring. So Kevin Gopal, for example, he was at BMO. He was the first company to launch crypto ETFs globally, right? Canada was an innovator in that space. And so it was important to have a guy like him on our team that could lead us through the regulatory piece. Second, Aydin Kilic, who is a board member and a strategic advisor. He's one of the longest standing Bitcoin mining CEOs. He's run a hundreds of millions to billions of dollar business at Hive, and he's got really deep relationships in the space, and he's been instrumental in opening doors and making introductions, and also helping us navigate a new nascent industry. Keep in mind, Hive, for example, they were the very first Bitcoin miner to go public globally. Lanre Okanuka, he's, again, a member of the New York State Bar and also was formerly a partner at PwC. The compliance and regulatory piece is such an important part when you're operating in a regulated market. And it was important to have somebody with expertise there on the team. And finally, James Zan, one of the original founders of the company, multiple AI co-founder and founder, we're using him to leverage all of the new development tools and other best practices when we're building out our platform and product. Next question. Over time, could you see prospect participant economically in advertising, sponsorship, or branded content around your markets as a great question. We're actively always talking to a wide variety of stakeholders across the sports ecosystem. And so I would say that this is definitely an area of focus for us in the future. Are there premium or pro tier features you can see layering onto the market intelligence terminal for high value users? What willingness are you hearing to pay for those conversations so far? So great question. I think we really do want to offer a premium experience for the everyday person, right? And so I think within the context of what we've shown you, we want to offer that to everybody. Now, some of the features that we think would be some of these high value ones that you would or others would potentially pay for are ones that are driven by AI insights and other recommendations. And so our early beta testing on some of that does show that folks do have appetite for that. So think of if you were looking to get a sense of from a statistical or modeling perspective, if this made sense, a certain market, we could provide, tools like that. With the conservative jurisdiction by jurisdiction approach and now a federal corporate structure, what doors does that open for you in terms of larger partners and regulated markets? So I think, if you were to just take a step back, the prediction markets industry is global, right? So if you look at spot trading volumes, you look at the number of countries that Polymarket operates in, or the number of markets Kalshi and others operate in, there's a ton, right? And so we've got quite a few opportunities to enter a variety of jurisdictions. The US is the largest market in the world. It's leading in terms of the regulatory framework. And so it makes sense for us to focus on the US in the interim, and then from there branch out into other jurisdictions as regulations evolve. Sorry, getting a lot of questions, so just making sure that we get to all of them here. How are athletes, teams, and leagues responding to the fan engagement angle, and are there early partnership conversations? So if you look at the prediction market space broadly, we've seen a handful of deals get signed. I think there's a lot of appetite from both the athlete and the league level on embracing the technologies. We're only about 6 months into this industry, so it's growing rapidly, and I would say that we're having conversations just like every other player in the space, and that stay tuned on that front. Next question. Given the rapid expansion and institutionalization of prediction markets, Kalshi, TradeWeb, that's a great partnership today. Where do you see the biggest white space that prospect can own? That's a really great question. I think several different players are going to realign themselves differently in terms of the types of partnerships they played. If you look at Kalshi, for example, they've done really well to go after some of the trading apps. So they've got partnerships with Robinhood, Coinbase, etc. I think they've done a great job to build distribution through that. When I look at ourselves, there's so many markets and different verticals that we can go after, not just domestically, but globally. And so, we are in active conversations with a handful. And once we're able to speak to them, we'll discuss them. So apologies, I've got about 30 seconds left on the call. I just want to keep this slide up here because, would love to book one-on-one meetings for those that are interested. And two, if you've got questions that I'm not able to get to, feel free to email us directly. We're more than happy to follow up. So just looking at the next question here, in terms of the funding of the initial funding that was raised, and cleaning up what incremental capital do you need to scale from here, and what IR do you underwrite on that growth capital? So if you just take a step back, right, we're continuously looking at growing the team. from the development and the marketing standpoint. So okay, sorry, we're out of time. Thank you, everybody. Please submit your questions and we'll get back to you. Thank you.